Hi, I'm your L7 movie guy, PR Marks. This is the show for all your movie streaming recommendations and reviews. Let's get started. First up we have is Violent Ends, a 2025 Southern suspense crime thriller about an honest man, Lucas Frost, played by Billy Magnuson, is pulled back into his violent crime family business in the Ozark Mountains. Now, despite his desires for a peaceful life with his fiancée, he just can't change his family's past and presence.
I will never change.
So, after watching this film's trailer, I definitely had high hopes for this one and was hoping it would deliver on its promises of gripping thrills when it comes to its crime violence.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
Then, after watching this one, it for sure sets up potential for some grimy family crime drama imagery and storytelling. That's because the film takes its time to introduce us to characters that have major impacts to conflicts within the storyline, as well as themes within the story like loyalty, revenge, love, and destructive human nature behavior.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Unfortunately, though, for its production and directing and how things play out and what is shown, only works for certain moments, but doesn't work in other moments as a whole for its pacing as well as trying to keep you engaged. Which brings me to my dislikes and negatives for this film.
And here we go.
First off, the story was decent enough for having this dynamic of two sides of a crime family, but was it emphasized or shown enough of crimes being committed within the family business? That ultimately would have had certain scenes or just more scenes be interesting, exciting, without relying purely on its violence to pique the audience engagement and viewing.
No more senseless violence, no more bloodshed.
As well as the film desperately tries to set up this detective slash mom cop angle that just felt really silly and unbelievable for the character and the subplot. And from this takes away from the revenge aspect a little too much because the mom is trying to help out only by lawful means.
I am above the law.
But not only does it kill the momentum of the main plot, her character just didn't have the physicality that screamed authority or somebody that's not threatening enough without backup. So it just didn't work for me.
Where's our backup? I don't know.
Lastly, for me, when it comes to my dislikes and negatives for this film, it would have to be the very ending of this film, which is this emotional, sappy moment between two characters trying to represent their love for one another, as well as it may be how love can sometimes not happen, or love is blind or lost or whatever. It just didn't work for me. It was just unnecessarily trying to pull on the heartstrings a little too much, and I feel like that specific scene could have been utilized somewhere else in the film much better.
I can understand that.
Now for my positives and likes for this film, it would mainly land on its production as well as certain other characters. For example, the cinematographer as well as the gaffers probably had the most fun with this one during filming. That's because everything in this film looked absolutely gorgeous when it came to its scenery shots, framing of certain characters during their intense moments in scenes, and capturing the visceral, gruesome violence.
Tell me you got that. I got it.
Also, too, there was this amazing, short, slow motion chase sequence that was sad, thrilling, and brutal all at the same time. Which I have to give a little credit to the editor as well as the director for cutting that scene together, because I don't think that was necessarily planned out to be a slow motion scene, and since they decided to do it for that specific scene, I will say it was the right choice.
That was totally wicked!
But for a moment, let's get back on the brutality of the violence for this film, because even though there's a decent amount of it, I have to give major props to the special effects department as well as the makeup department. That's because they did a very good job on delivering us some surprisingly good, bloody action violence that was shocking for its savagery.
So much blood!
Lastly, for my likes and positives for the film would have to be the acting, for the fact that they were pretty much decent all across the board. But the major standouts, for me at least, were the two main villain characters. For the fact that they were the perfect blend of someone that is ruthlessly evil, but with the look of a rough country exterior. which, compared to all the other actors, they really definitely had the most charismatic as well as entertaining moments in this film.
Those dudes are bad dudes.
Overall, I have to say, for all its amazing crime, bloody elements, and great villain characters, it wasn't enough to save this one. That's because the film's story has too many missed opportunities, especially not showing more of the crime family and how that all works. And the pacing for this film's story just felt really kind of messy for such a simple premise, that unfortunately dragged along here and there.
Oh God, that's terrible.
Also, too, the ending. If it would have just ended with our main bloody character sitting there breathing heavily and cut to black instead of cut into this emotional love fest, I think it would have benefited the film tremendously. And that is why I'm going to give this one a nay. But for an audience thumb scale, it's going to be a 3 out of 5. Last up we have is Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man. This is a 2026 film that serves as a feature-length conclusion to the Peaky Blinders TV series. Set in 1940s Birmingham during World War II, Cillian Murphy returns as Thomas Shelby to face a new threat involving a Nazi plot.
Each and every man under my command owes me 100 Nazi scalps. And I want my scalps.
Now, me and my brother have been big fans of the Peaky Blinders TV series ever since it became a staple onto the Netflix streaming platform. And needless to say, the series has everything you want when it comes to a period piece involving a gangster family crime drama show.
Fuck yeah!
Everything from its amazing acting, incredible production value, bloody, violent visuals, and epic tragic storytelling is on point for the show. That, by the very end of the series, sadly feels unfinished and leaving you wanting more.
I want some more.
Which, when I heard they were going to make a movie to close up this franchise, as well as promise to clear up any loose ends, I was for sure stoked. So, as soon as this movie was available to watch, I rushed to my couch with excitement, hoping to fill that void of expectation. But before I continue with this review, I'm going to try my best to leave out any spoilers.
I really, really hope so.
Now brings me to my positives and likes for this film. I like that the production value stayed consistent from the TV series to the movie when it comes to the look of the lighting, cinematography, set designs, wardrobe, and even scenery.
Pretty good.
Also, I was pumped for the soundtrack and how in this film it was excellently picked to set the mood for each scene, as well as have the signature soundtrack that used to open up the beginning of the TV series be in this movie, but just tweaked a little bit by slowing it down.
You ready to play some funky music, white boy?
Now, when it comes to the actors and their performances, I would say everybody did very well and truly showcased every emotion and mannerisms of their character, especially when it comes to our familiar main characters of the TV series.
I remember you.
Lastly, for my likes and positives for this film, it would have to go to the pyrotechnics as well as the special effects department. For the fact whenever they were utilized on screen, it definitely was enjoyable and entertaining enough for those action sequences.
I want to learn how to blow shit up with my mind.
Which brings me to my dislikes and negatives for this film because there are some major ones.
Oh, well, that's not good.
The first thing that comes to my mind in the negative department was the fact that there was no recap in the beginning of this film. Cause when going into this film, I felt like I was missing some minor details that really could have been beneficial of information if they just had a recap.
Sorry, I totally forgot.
Which brings me to my next problem with this film, and that is the story and the pacing. The story was, well, decent enough and worked from beginning to end for a new idea with little bits of information being added in from the last season. But it's just not what I wanted to see. That's because there was this character from the last season of the TV series that was so evil and always outsmarting Tommy Shelby, and he was like, you know, a fascist Nazi type character that, you know, you just absolutely hated. He doesn't get killed in this TV show, even though he basically ruins Tommy Shelby's life. And you're kind of like, why don't you use that? Why don't you kill that character? It doesn't make any sense. So I think if they just would have focused on that for this movie, it would have been a way better movie. And it would have been so much more gratifying and killer to watch.
Hey, you might want to take a chill pill, all right?
Lastly, for my negatives and dislikes for this film, which is a major one, was the fact that there were certain characters that were major characters that did not return for this movie, which was a major bummer for me because the characters that did not show up for the movie were really impactful for the TV series, and it just killed the enjoyment and the excitement level that I had when watching this film, because it would have been nice to see Tom Hardy's character. It would have been nice to see the brother character again, and even the bad guy villain in the last season would have been good to have him in this movie. So yeah, it was kind of a slap in the face, and just they did write off one main character, I'm not going to say who because I don't want to spoil anything, that just felt very lazy and terrible writing.
Where did everybody go?
In the end, this was just a longer Peaky Blinder episode type version of a movie. And I will be perfectly honest, I wish they would have just done another season to really close everything out instead of doing this movie. Or just do a 3-hour to 4-hour epic cinematic movie that really closes everything out and really ties everything together.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Sure, all the positives like its production and acting were outstanding and really were major impacts for this film. But with main characters that were so impactful from the TV series not returning, a plot that just seems poorly put together as well as rushed together, and then also that revenge plot that I just can't seem to get past, that doesn't get closed out, and I don't know why nobody talks about it. It drives me nuts. It just was just a major letdown for me. I just felt like this movie was not what I wanted to see, and it didn't really do it for me, and that is why I'm going to give this one a nay. But for an audience thumb scale, it's going to be a 3 out of 5. Well, that's all the time we have. As always, smash that like and subscribe button, and if you liked any of the movies we discussed, please leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching, and may the movies be with you.